Hello, my name is Nick, and I'd like to talk to you about Star Wars. I remember when Star Wars was only a trilogy, and one interview George gave about maybe doing prequels someday. I'm an OG fan of the OT, and while I wish the new films treated the legacy characters better, I do like the new movies as a whole. I know the title of this video will draw in angry Star Wars fans, and I only ask that you hear my theory out before leaving your angry comments, which I promise you I will read. Despite all appearances, Rey is actually not a Mary Sue. Rey is only a Mary Sue until you realize it's not her doing all the things she does so well. She is guided and empowered by the Force in her flying, her fighting, and her use of Force abilities. She can take no credit for her successes in these areas. We even have proof in her first fight with Kylo Ren, where she's clearly losing until the Force totally takes over, and it's moving her body for her. It amazes me how few people understand this. It is fundamental to her character. Why has she been chosen by the Force to be so empowered? Two reasons. One is her noble heart, her innate goodness, which we have ample proof of. Two is that the light side needs a champion to counter the dark side, and there's no time for the training that people complain about. There's no time in the story, and no time in the films. There's a thing called story economy, and to allow space for all the other characters and events and battles, we don't have time or space for Rey to have training like Luke did, long second act in Empire. And with my theory, it would only hurt the outcome. So there's no time, no space, and no need for her training. Her powers might well even leave her after the end of 9 when the task she was empowered for has been accomplished. How and why did the Force choose someone to be empowered when all previous Force users needed a bloodline right to use this power? Why does the Force behave differently in the Disney trilogy than in the original trilogy? Well, what's different after Episode 6 that was the same in every other film before it? Anakin Skywalker is dead. The sentient being, conceived by the Force, has rejoined the Force. This is why the Force can be more sentient now, why it can choose Rey and empower her and control her more so than with any Jedi in the past. Rey isn't a Mary Sue, the Force is. Anakin, possibly, is piloting her like a drone during her flying and her fighting and her Force usage and knowledge. She doesn't even know it's happening. Is it really so surprising? You don't work as second in command to the greatest master manipulator in the galaxy for 30 years and not learn a few things about manipulating people and events. And we know from the end of 6 that Anakin is in the light side of the Force now. Now, we've all heard the idea that Palpatine created Anakin, that it wasn't Immaculate Conception by the Force, and so there's no reason to think that this sentient part of the Force went into a physical body. But that's an idea Lucas chose not to make explicit in the prequel movies for a reason. He wanted the Space Jesus allegory to hold together, not to add one more step for Palpatine's ultimate plan. Also, it strengthens Palpatine's character for him to be taking advantage of an existing situation rather than being the one responsible for literally every major event in the story. It was a bridge too far, and Lucas knew that. Some people say that his speech to Anakin about Darth Plagueis in the opera scene is him confessing to having created him, but I say that idea weakens the real purpose of that scene, which is to hook Anakin with the power of the dark side, and while it may have supported the idea had it been included in the film as it exists, it is not explicit proof. In the films, the Force created Anakin Skywalker. It put a sentient part of itself into a being, or it created a sentient being, and now that sentient being has rejoined the Force, and now it's controlling Rey. We've all heard the rumors by now of one cut of Rise of Skywalker featuring not only Luke returning, like I've always hoped for, but Anakin as well. Hayden Christensen has been known to be on set during shooting. I posit that Luke may return in the flesh, but Anakin will only appear as a Force ghost and will in the film reveal that he's been playing Rey like a fiddle this entire time. It'll piss off Kathleen Kennedy, but they know this is what the fans need to really make things right. Even if it's not in the final cut of the movie, I will believe it was a filmed scene, taken out for marketing reasons. That's how sure I am of this theory. In any case, it is clear from evidence in The Force Awakens, Rey does not know how she is able to fly so well, fight so well against Kylo, or even learn and then use her Force powers. The in-universe explanation of midichlorians states that they exist in all living creatures. All Anakin would have had to do from within the Force is ask them to breed a lot in Rey's body, And there we go, instant Force user. The only thing I'm not 100% sure of is if it's Anakin alone piloting her during her Mary Sue moments, or if it's the light side of the Force as a whole, all the Jedi who have joined acting as a collective. I think Anakin alone makes the most sense. I think he senses Palpatine still acting through the dark side, and he's acting through the light side to counter him, becoming a master manipulator like his master was. This is what is meant by Ben's line about if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. He may have been helping Luke along, Ben was, in this very similar fashion. And if we're going to jam a robot's computer brain into the Millennium Falcon, why not? If we're going to change things behind the scene of the OT. Well, we'll all have to wait for episode 9 to come out to see where Disney lands with all this, but I hope I've convinced some of you to at least consider the possibility that Rey is not a Mary Sue, or that 9 could at least retcon her not into being one. She's not good at everything for no reason other than to be a power fantasy for girls. I think they are going somewhere with this. There is a story reason for her strength, and I believe we'll find it out when Rise of Skywalker comes out. The Skywalker who's rising might just be Anakin, finally defeating the Emperor who controlled and ruined his life, well after both their lives have ended. Am I onto something here, or am I just crazy? Let me know what you think, and I thank you for your time.